You've probably felt it before, that sting in your chest when you see her pulling away. Maybe it started small, the slower replies, the shorter conversations, the way her eyes don't light up like they used to. Or maybe it was there from the very beginning, you were interested, but she never gave you more than crumbs. And yet, no matter how much she seems to drift, you can't stop thinking about her. You find yourself asking, what do I have to do to make her want me? What do I have to do to make her see me the way I see her? If this is you, you know the cycle all too well. You put in effort, you send that text, you show your interest, you try to prove your worth. But instead of chasing you, she slips further away. And it makes you wonder, why does it feel like the more I try, the less she cares? Why does it seem like the men who barely try at all are the ones she runs after? Maybe this feels familiar. You're the guy who gives his full heart, but it's never enough. You're the one left staring at your phone, waiting for a message that never comes. You're the one asking yourself, what's wrong with me? Am I not good enough? Is there something I'm missing that other men have? And yet, deep down, there's another voice inside of you, a quiet whisper that says, it doesn't have to be this way. Because a part of you knows you don't want to be the man who begs for attention. You want to be the man she can't stop thinking about, the man she can't help but chase. The man who, without saying a word, flips a switch in her heart that makes her wonder, what is it about him? Why do I feel drawn to him? If this is you, you're tired of being overlooked. You're tired of chasing women who only run faster. You're tired of living in the shadow of men who don't seem half as invested as you are, yet somehow get everything you want. And maybe that's why you're here right now, because you know there has to be a way to turn the tables, a way to make her the one leaning in, reaching out, and wondering how she can get closer to you. So the real question is, what changes inside a man that makes a woman instantly chase him even when she wasn't interested before? Listen, most men get this completely backwards. They think chasing a woman is what proves they're serious, what shows her they care. They believe the more attention they give, the more validation they offer, the more a woman will recognize their value. But if you've ever tried that, you already know how it ends. She pulls away, she loses interest, and you're left wondering why she never saw the effort you poured into her. Here's the truth. Chasing is never attractive. Not because women hate effort, but because the frame is all wrong. When you chase, you're telling her without saying a word that she is the prize, and you are the one trying to qualify yourself. You're putting her on the pedestal. And the moment she feels that, the dynamic shifts. She doesn't feel drawn to you, she feels above you. And no woman is going to run toward a man she feels is beneath her. That's why so many guys struggle. They confuse availability with attraction. They confuse attention with desire. They think giving more will make her feel more. But attraction doesn't work like that. Attraction is not about convincing her to like you. It's about being the man she can't ignore. So what does that mean? It means you stop approaching this with the mindset of proving your worth. You stop thinking that you need to win her over. A man who carries true masculine presence never tries to win a woman. He allows her to discover him. He doesn't flood her with attention. He creates space for her to lean in. That's the first principle you have to understand. A man is the frame, not the follower. Think about it. When a woman feels like she has all of you too soon, your time, your attention, your emotions, there's no mystery, no tension, no energy pulling her in. You've already handed over everything before she's even invested a thing. And on some level she feels it. She feels like you've lost yourself in her before she even had the chance to lose herself in you. That kills attraction. The men who get it right, they do the opposite. They don't run after a woman hoping to earn her interest. They stand still. They stand grounded. They know who they are and they let her energy move toward them. They know that attention is valuable and they don't hand it out cheaply. That's the second principle. What you give freely loses value, but what you protect creates desire. Now, this doesn't mean you play games. It's not about ignoring her, acting cold, or pretending you don't care. That's just insecurity in disguise. What I'm talking about is something deeper, calm authority. The kind of presence where you don't rush, you don't push, you don't prove. You simply know that you are the prize, and whether she sees it today or tomorrow, it doesn't shake you. When a man moves with that kind of energy, a woman feels it. She feels safe, but she also feels intrigued. She wonders why you're not rushing. She wonders why you're not doing what every other guy does. And that's where the chase begins. Not because you tricked her, but because you finally flipped the dynamic. You stopped moving toward her and allowed her to move toward you. You've probably seen this play out before. Think about the men women gossip about, obsess over, and can't seem to get enough of. Are they the ones sending long paragraphs, checking their phone every 5 minutes, and rearranging their entire lives just to prove interest? No. They're the ones who are busy living. They're the ones whose time has weight, whose attention feels earned. They're the ones who carry themselves as though they don't need her, but they could want her. That's a massive difference. Most men believe attraction is built on doing more, but it's actually built on being more centered, more grounded, more selective. Because when you stop trying to convince her, you force her to decide on her own. And when she feels like she's the one leaning forward, she invests more deeply. That's when you become unforgettable. So if you're sitting there wondering why women never chase you, ask yourself, are you acting from need or from authority? Are you rushing to prove yourself, or are you patient enough to let her discover you? Are you handing away your energy freely, or are you protecting it so it means something when she finally earns it? Most men will never shift into that frame. They'll keep chasing, keep overgiving, keep wondering why it never works. But if you can anchor yourself in calm authority, if you can hold your ground instead of running after her, you'll notice something powerful. She stops being the prize. You do. And when she feels that shift, when she realizes she can't easily have you, that's when the chase begins. Because at the end of the day, the man who makes a woman instantly chase him isn't the one running fastest, it's the one standing firm while every other man is chasing. And once you embody that truth, you'll never look at attraction the same way again. It's late evening and the city hums beneath a fading orange sky. You're standing in the corner of a crowded rooftop bar, the glass in your hand dripping with condensation. Music vibrates through the air. Laughter bounces across the tables, but all of it feels muffled because your eyes have already locked on her. She's sitting with friends, her head tilting back as she laughs at something you'll never hear. The way her hair falls, the curve of her smile, it pulls at you like a magnet. And for a moment you imagine it, her eyes meeting yours, her walking over, drawn to something she can't quite name, her choosing you. But reality snaps back just as quickly, because she hasn't noticed you. Not yet. She's sipping her drink, scrolling her phone, leaning in to whisper to her friend, and in your chest, that old voice creeps in, the one you've heard too many times before. If I don't make a move, she'll never know. If I don't try, I'll miss my chance. I need to do something. Your palms sweat, your leg bounces, you run through possible lines in your head, each one sounding weaker than the last. Should I compliment her? Should I buy her a drink? Should I tell her she's beautiful? The longer you think, the heavier it feels, like the air around you thickens with pressure. You imagine walking up, saying the wrong thing, seeing her polite smile fade, watching her turn back to her friends. That rejection, that sting feels too familiar. And so you wait, you hesitate, you stay planted in your corner, hoping something will shift. But the more you watch, the more it eats at you. Why do I always end up here? Why do I always feel like I'm chasing? Then, something unexpected happens. A guy walks past you toward her table. He doesn't glance twice at her. He doesn't fumble for words or force a smile. He just moves with ease, shoulders relaxed, eyes scanning the room like he owns the ground. He walks on. He's not dressed better than you. He's not taller, not more handsome. But something about him feels different, unshakable. And you watch as she notices him. Her laughter slows. Her eyes flick up for a split second, following his movement. She shifts in her seat, tucks a strand of hair behind her ear, suddenly aware of herself. He doesn't even look back, doesn't even try, and yet she feels him. It hits you like a punch to the chest. The difference. The silence. The way his very stillness pulled her attention in, without a word, And in that moment, you realize it isn't about chasing at all. It never was. Your grip on the glass tightens as the thought cuts deeper. How many times have I given all of myself before she even asked? How many times have I leaned too far forward, hoping she'd meet me halfway, only to find she'd already taken a step back? The memory floods in the unanswered texts, the one-word replies, the way you rearranged your schedule for women who didn't do the same for you. The quiet ache of lying in bed at night, phone in hand, waiting for a reply that never came. Every moment you thought you had to prove yourself, when really you were just handing away your power. But then another thought creeps in. What if I stopped? What if I didn't rush? What if I stood still the way he did? What if I let her come closer instead of always running toward her? And for the first time, the weight lifts. Your chest loosens. You feel your shoulders drop. A strange calm washes over you, not cocky, not arrogant, but steady. Like you've been holding your breath for years and finally let it out. You stand taller. You stop staring. You turn your gaze away and let the night unfold around you, and something shifts. Minutes later, when you glance back, her eyes are on you, not long, not obvious, but enough. Enough to feel it. That flicker of curiosity, that spark of why isn't he looking at me, and it lands. The pull, the chase beginning, not because you did more, but because you finally did less. The music keeps playing, the city lights flicker below, but inside you there sits silence, steady, grounded, certain. You no longer feel the need to prove. You no longer feel the ache of chasing shadows. For the first time, you feel the truth pressing against your ribs, settling deep into your bones. She doesn't chase the man who runs after her. She chases the man who stands so firmly in himself that she can't help but move closer. And as you let that truth sink in, you know you'll never see it the same way again. One of the biggest reasons men struggle with women is because they're carrying around false beliefs about attraction that were never true in the first place. These beliefs don't just hurt you, they keep you stuck in the same loop of chasing women who never seem to care, while the men who don't even try end up being the ones she can't stop thinking about. Let's break a few of these lies wide open. The first belief: if I just show her how much I care, she still eventually see my worth. This sounds noble, right? You pour attention into her, you try to prove your loyalty, you let her know she's wanted. But here's the problem. Attraction doesn't grow from proof. Attraction grows from mystery, from space, from curiosity. If you flood her with everything before she's invested anything, you've already given away the ending of the story. She doesn't have to wonder, she doesn't have to lean in, because you've already placed yourself at her feet. Here's the truth. You don't earn her desire by proving yourself. You ignite it by protecting your value. She didn't lose interest because you weren't enough. She lost interest because you gave too much before she gave anything. The second belief: chasing her shows confidence and persistence. No, it shows need. Think about it. When you're always reaching, always leaning forward, always trying to get her attention, what does it reveal? It shows that her validation is more important than your self-respect, and deep down she feels that imbalance. Women don't chase men who need them, they chase men who don't. Confidence isn't running after someone, it's standing so firmly in who you are that she has to step into your world to get closer. The man who stands still will always be chased by the one who keeps running. The third belief: if she isn't interested now, I just need to try harder. This one hurts because it's the trap so many good men fall into. You believe more effort will tip the scale, but effort can't create attraction, it can only expose it. If the flame isn't there, pushing harder only smothers it. What flips the switch isn't more doing, it's more being. Being grounded, being selective, being the man who knows he doesn't need to chase what's not moving toward him. And when you embody that energy, something powerful happens. Women who once overlooked you start seeing you differently, not because you tried harder, but because you stopped trying altogether. She didn't ghost you, you disappeared from yourself. So if you've been living by these beliefs, understand this: you're not broken, you're not unworthy, you've just been told the wrong story about what makes women chase. Stop giving more to prove your value. Stop thinking effort is the same as desire. And stop believing that need will ever be mistaken for confidence. Because the moment you let go of those lies and step into calm authority, the game changes. You no longer run after women who don't see you, you let them move toward you. And when they do, it won't feel forced, it'll feel inevitable. The headman mindset is about holding your ground, not in arrogance, not in indifference, but in certainty. Certainty that your life is already rich, that your time is already meaningful, that your energy is already powerful. And from that place, he doesn't seek approval. He extends an invitation. This is what makes her chase, not because he played games, but because he refused to abandon himself. Not because he withheld affection, but because his affection has weight. He understands that what is abundant loses value, and what is protected becomes priceless. The headman doesn't ask, "What do I need to do to make her want me?" Instead, he asks, "Am I living in a way that makes me impossible to ignore?" And because he does, she feels it. She senses it in the silence, in the steadiness, in the lack of desperation. That's the shift from proving to embodying, from chasing to standing, from fear of loss to certainty of worth. And once you move into that frame, you stop asking how to make her chase, and you start realizing she has no choice. It happens quietly, almost without warning. One moment you're staring at your phone, replaying the silence between you and her, wondering why she hasn't noticed you. And then like a sudden break in the clouds, the thought cuts through, "I've been chasing someone who was never even moving toward me." The weight of that realization presses against your chest, not in shame, but in clarity. You see all the nights you waited, all the energy you poured out, all the ways you bent yourself just to be chosen, and beneath it you recognize something you hadn't admitted before. You weren't really trying to win her, you were trying to convince yourself you were enough. And in that moment the shift happens. You feel your breath deepen, you sit taller, you sense the strength that's been buried under years of overgiving, finally pushing its way back to the surface. You remember there was a time you didn't chase. There was a time when your presence alone drew people in. There was a time when you didn't need to prove, you just lived. And she noticed. The truth stings, but it also sets you free, because you see now that the chase was never about her, it was about you forgetting who you were. And as you let that sink in, something inside of you steadies, the waiting stops, the need dissolves, the endless questions quiet down. You realize she doesn't define your value, you do. She doesn't decide whether you're magnetic, you do. And the moment you stop running after what isn't running toward you, you feel the ground return beneath your feet. There's a power in standing still, a power in remembering that your time, your attention, your energy are rare. And when you finally claim that truth, something in you awakens. You're no longer the man who waits. You're no longer the man who chases shadows. You are the man she can't help but notice because for the first time you've remembered yourself. So here you are, at the end of this, with a truth echoing louder than the questions you started with. You came wondering how to make her chase, how to flip the script, how to finally be the man she can't ignore. And what you've realized is this: it was never about trying harder. It was never about convincing her. It was about remembering yourself. All along, you thought the chase was something you had to perform, but it isn't. The chase only begins when you stop running, when you stop overgiving, when you stop abandoning your own worth just to be chosen. The moment you stand firm, grounded in who you are, something shifts. She feels it. She notices the difference. She leans in, not because you pulled her, but because your stillness drew her closer. Think back to the pain that brought you here, the unanswered messages, the endless effort, the feeling of being invisible. Those moments were never proof of your weakness. They were reminders that you were giving away what should have been protected. And now you know the truth. The power was never in her hands. It was always in yours. A woman doesn't chase the man who runs toward her. She chases the man who finally remembers he doesn't have to run at all. Because in the end, the man who stops chasing doesn't lose her, he finds himself.